We are going to project a video of a Cuban community, rural community. And why I project the video? Because in the test you have read, you remember that I emphasized that it's so important that the little community plans in relation of what the community could resolve first, so they can have immediately possibilities of actions, not waiting from the state the result. Well, this video is an image of this situation in Cuba in a period very difficult, when socialism has been defeated, no? And Cuba, you know, depends very much in that moment, like 70 or 80% of the socialist market. So wasn't a very real problematic, no? So you will see there, for example, how they resolve the problem of bulbs, but I won't tell you. There is a little problem with the video. In a part is not the sound, so in that part I will tell you what is, you will see the image, no? The lighting of the community was not the first priority because they couldn't, they have no money to buy the bulbs. But as the situation of the, well, let's see if you can read. He says, the leader, that when he saw in the TV that they were asking for metal, and metal was all over the countryside. You see I don't know what the words of that, no? In the TV they say, if you collect these, we could give you something in exchange. And they began to collect it, to ask for bulbs to illuminate the little town. This is better. Oh, here you hear the dancing, the sounds, the people so happy because they have conquered that light by their effort. And that is very, very important. When the people feel that they themselves get the solution. These are the credits. You can stop it. When we did the video, what we wanted to communicate is you can, if you organize yourself, you do the priority of what you can do immediately. What we call, and they call in the video, plan of action, immediate action. No? Even if there is no economical or financial help of the state, there is a facilitator. And this is important because sometimes we think that participation grows as spontaneously. No? And I think that we have, I wanted to say to you that there are barriers of participation, and we have to consider them. First of all, I don't know if they are here, this is what we see in Latin America, skepticism and apathy of the people. No? Many times, and yesterday, the people of the countryside of the Telugu movement, they say, the big question for them is, how to arrive to motivate people to participate. No? The culture of clientelism is something that people reject and says, and here in Hyderabad, you have the problem of a government that do things for the people, solutions things, gives water, gives health, but in a clientelistic way. So the problem for us, I think we are progressive all, no, here, is not to reject what is done that the people loves. Because sometimes the left says, oh, as it is a clientelist way, all is bad. And the people that receive the solution are happy. So you make a distance between the party that think that is clientelar and the people that are receiving the services. So we have to deal with that and to take advantage of that space to create forms of people participation, even receiving this from the state, no, in a way, clientelar way. Also, a big problem in our world today is scarcity of time. No? People doesn't want to meet. They have too many things. They have to work. They have to work sometimes 2 works to have something to eat. No? And they have also, I don't know here, how the TV in the people that has less means. In our countries, the people more poor has a little house with good, but the TV, and what they see are the telenovelas. How you say? Yeah, I don't know if here is the same. The same. So you cannot do a meeting when there is a good telenovela, no? So this is something we have to consider. And do meetings very, less meeting as possible. Then intolerance is other thing that is against participation. Mistrust of the people. People that think that and hearing the people, that they don't hear the people and don't trust in the people. So the other thing is those leaders knows it all leaders or technicians that come with a solution to the people, no, and don't hear the people. Okay, the good effects of participation. No? First of all, the participation increase self-esteem, isn't it? You see the people, all the people are doing things, are happy what they're doing, no? The other thing, and you say something, these spaces creates the possibility of having together the differences of the people. It doesn't matter if you trust in God or you not trust in God, etc. Even, I think, I don't know, but there are in some of our communities and our videos, there are ex-prisoners that are rejected by the community in general, but they are, in these cases, integrated, and the planning of the community think about these people and see how to integrate them. So the idea of integration, unity, is very important. And the other thing is that makes the people more conscious. And I have another video that is for participatory budget in Porto Alegre, where the person that is the more important person in the video says, I began to fight for my house and resolving the problem of the land where the house is, no? And then I see that I was in a neighborhood, and I see that I was in a city, and the city is in Brazil, no? So she began to open his mind to many things. And for her, the process of planning a participatory budget in that case was as a university. And she was elected counselor, elected representative of the process. And she deals with a group of middle classes people, professionals that were, she was directing a group where there were professionals, and she did it quite well. She learned by the practice, that is very important. So the more important thing now is human development. And that is an idea that I think that if the course, if you are 3 weeks, you take in your head is that all human activity produce two products. In this case, produce a plan or a diagnosis, no? In the workplace, you produce a microphone or a bottle or whatever. But there is another product, is human being, how this worker, how these people develop themselves. In capitalism, the worker is alienated by the process of work. In this community, the process of planning develop themselves. And you have to think, I think, all the time that you do something and you plan something, not only the material product, but what would happen with the people that do that. And this in the government, and this is everywhere. And this is an idea that comes from Marx, the emphasis in this human development by the practice. No? So I wanted to say also the word protagonism that you have found in the text, no? Is a word the translators always say, no, this doesn't exist in English. No? And I wanted to say that in Spanish, 10 years ago didn't exist. But we create words to explain things that we discover now better than before. No? And this means a much more, I say participation could be many things. Participation could be hands up, voting, participating in meetings, mobilizing people, all that things. But the essential thing of participation is decision-making and control of the decision. And that is protagonism. And that's why in the Venezuelan constitution, you say, protagonist participatory democracy in the constitution. And people say, why you put participatory and protagonist? It's the same. It's not the same. It's the best participation, no, that we are thinking about. So what we say is that in the area of the community, the communal council should organize working groups to different problems, not only the problems that are in the list of priority, but each communal council should have a health committee, for example, a cultural committee, a sportive committee, and some committees that depends on the reality, rural reality or urban reality, or a big contamination problem, you have a committee for that. I think that if you create these task forces for problems of the community, for interest of the community, that maintains in the time, because health is something that is always there. Sports is always there. And if you discuss different things, I think very much in creative process and the problem or interest, because not always is a problem. That is other thing. Did you see in the video, in this video? In this video you saw the children doing, how many ideas, we have another video, no? How many ideas could be done without being a problem necessary, no? Ideas, for example, I always say, and I think it was put in the paper, the children doing pictures in the corners of the streets to be more beautiful, the town or the city. And this has been done in Caracas by a mayor, a progressive mayor, and what happened? The children, even of the opposition families, were painting. So the mother was interested in the father, they saw the drawings, were beautiful, because I think you share with me that the pictures of the children are wonderful. No? So these are ideas that are born in these task groups. No? And you invite everybody that wants to come. And you have also to see and to realize that people doesn't want to meet too much. So you must not make many meetings, because in the past, the left, the more meetings we have in the party, the best. And we have no time to go to the people. We were in the party, in the party, in the party. No? So I think that if you have something to do, and you are realizing, you say? in what you are doing. You are interested in maintaining it. But also that was an error from the left in the past. They gave you tasks. You have to sing. And you had a bad voice, but you, the party says you have to sing. The other says you have to do propaganda speaking to the people. And you were a very shy guy and you didn't want to speak to the people, but the party says. No? Now, the concept of militancy we have is what you best do. The best thing that you are able to do, that will be your task. No? I did the video, and you could see the video if you want. I was suggesting, well, one of the videos is Participatory Budget in Porto Alegre. And what do you see there? People, as I told you, growing, discussing the projects, deciding, no? Participatory people. This is a video to push participation. This video has been seen by a person in the World Bank that was a person that was progressive. And he decided that they will translate it and use it. And why the World Bank will be interested in using participatory budget? Well, because they are interested not probably in participation, but they are interested that the money they give for a project, suppose the World Bank give money for women's development in the countryside. In our countries, the corrupt governments employ the money for themselves, for the bureaucracy, and then they gave it for the objective. So the World Bank was interested in participatory budget because the participatory budget control where the money goes. And the guy was a progressive guy. So we have to be in the left, very flexible, not to be, to recognize that some instruments that the enemy, the World Bank is an enemy as the system, but some people there could be able to understand that they have to make something, the money to arrive to some projects that for them are interesting, for us are more. No? So we have to use the money, and as he says they have done in Kerala, is what the Bolivian and the Ecuadorian government are doing. Conditioning any credit that comes, not permitting to control the money, and I don't know what they have in Venezuela, international auditory, because even for their enterprises, and from the state, from the service of the state, they have international auditory because they want the service to be very high quality. No? That's what I want to clarify. And the other thing is we don't have decentralization in Venezuela. What I am saying only is that this little plan could be interesting, that the wards do a little plan, and not only the first plan would be in the Panchayak, and that the wards receive a little money. In Ecuador, the municipality, urban municipality in the zone of San Salvador, no, decided to do a planning process, and as the planning process, he says, the beginning of the planning process takes quite a lot of time to have the plan of a period. Then they decide to do what they call little works of big impact. You understand? Small works that has a big impact in the community. So they decide to give money to some projects that groups of the community did. A sportive group that wanted to do a little, to play, no? A little money to this. Why they do so? Because they want to stimulate the trust, the trust on the project, beginning to show that planning, a little thing, you could receive money. It's the same idea of Chavez that given to the communal councils money, no? Because when people see what they can do, they began to self-esteem, etc., etc. No? So there in Venezuela, what I say, we have the level of the councils and the level of the commune. But the commune has no decentralization, has no money, has no personnel, has nothing, has the title. No? And then has to ask the state money for the project. When women liberate from men, when they have their own budget, they have a salary, don't tell me that a local government would be independent to do if they don't have money, if they don't have personnel, no, and material to work. The water, control of the water, in the little agrarian communities, it's very important that the community controls the use of the water. But in a big city, it's impossible because it's technologically impossible, no? This is one thing, and I didn't say about the taxes, if you permit me a little, about the taxes, that you say that here now the big industry or the corporation are eliminating the government
it's giving soaps.
Is getting the tax low or no taxes for those enterprises. No? What can we do? Well, I think that in Porto Alegre, the experience of the participatory budget is that the people does not pronounce only, finally, no, so in the process, about the budget for works, but also about, in general, the budget, and they analyze that they have so few quantity of money for works that the machinery of the state employs. In the beginning was 80% of the money that the municipality has was for the machinery, for paying the employees and maintaining the house, etc. No? So they discussed and they changed that, and they decided that the people that has more should pay more, and they changed the law of taxes because they were organized. So that I think that you always have to think that the solution could be possible, and I have something in one book that says to make the politics of the revolutionary is to make the impossible possible. Why? Not because we have a voluntarism, but because we create the condition to be possible the impossible. And which are the conditions? The fundamental conditions to change the correlation of forces. And you have to, how you could change the correlation of forces? Promoting the organization of the people below, because that is our strength. Because as Marx says, and I say you yesterday, we are majority, but it's not enough. We have to organize ourselves, and it's not enough. We have to have conscience. No? So that is only my answer about taxes. No? Cuba has applied the Soviet model of a socialist state that is a very top-down, it was a very top-down state, no? That resolved the problem of the people, that has quite a lot of participation in the sense that I describe participation as, for example, in the campaign of literacy, especially youth came to the mountains, to the very far away, and even they were killed some because of the Contra-Revolution, no? To do the campaign. They have done campaigns for health, no? Many campaigns. They have a system of elections that is denied by the bourgeois international media. They say there are not elections in Cuba, there are elections. They are different. And they elect 51% of the parliament by popular decision in the little organizations. No? 51% of the parliament, it comes from below, from the names of the, and the others are elected and selected by other levels. So there is also participation, they discuss. They have done recently, before, when it came to the necessity of changing some part of the model, economical model, they did a national poll, a discussion about the lines that the party should And I was, for example, in that moment in Cuba, and I participated in one of those meetings, and the people were saying, for example, we don't want that you take out, in Cuba, from the beginning of the revolution, there was what we call la libreta. You understand? There was some products that were given to all the people, very low price, no? Rice, flour, sugar, coffee, some weekly quantity of chicken or meat, no? Well, these things, when in a moment the society in Cuba was very egalitarian, but then came the problem of the people, the families of United States that came to Cuba to visit the families when it was open, this possibility, that wanted to demonstrate the families in Cuba that they were very happy outside with this American way of life, many things. So they came with many things to Cuba and began to have differences between the families that has parents or siblings in, I don't know how to say, in Miami, and the other families that has not, no? So then become a certain difference. But I was saying, why? Then the government, in relation of the problem of centralization, after they did a campaign of sugar, I don't know if you know that in a moment, they wanted, as sugar was the principal product of his richness, they wanted to have a very high collection of sugar. And they put all the efforts of the revolution in that. And people didn't work in the industry, they went to do the saffron, to collect the sugar, no? But that campaign with a big goal wasn't successful. They couldn't arrive to that goal. No? And Fidel did a very big autocritique, and he says, this is a problem because we have centralized too much. We have to decentralize. And they really decentralized to the municipalities, no? That was the lowest levels of the government, money for health, for different things. And what happened? In a very little country, no? The problem was that after a year or two, Fidel was all over the island and saw that there was no other hospital. Why? Because every municipality has a little money and they could do only 2 meters of wall of the hospital. So there were many walls all over the country, no hospital. So they had to centralize. And that is something that, again, we have to be very careful. Some things could be decentralized, some not, no? So they centralize again, no? And now they're trying to decentralize again because they saw that when you have a local government that is decentralized, there's more possibility of controlling locally the money, etc. No? But until now, Cuba is quite top-down. And as I said to you, and now I know why because I was saying they have participation in many ways, and the lineamientos was a kind of participation, but they don't have decision-making process below that says what to do. That is very important to do so, no? And especially I think it's important to do so when you have resources that are small, because it's much better that the people know the budget is low and what to do with the budget, the people, not the bureaucracy, huh? Because it's different. If you know, well, I have little money and I decided to do little, not that comes from top down, the decision, and you say, why so little, no? And the other thing is, well, so Cuba is not at all an example, continue to be a planning from the top, no? Ahora, Venezuela, as I say, has an intention of decentralization, I think. They have money that goes to the municipalities of the budget fixed by law, no? With an interesting thing that I would like to discuss with or at least learn from Isaac, that is that there is in Venezuela a law that says that the money that goes to the municipality should go in a different, it's not proportional to the population, but it's some of the money, it should be considered criteria that favorize the more poor sectors, no? So you don't give to a municipality that is rich the same quantity of money to the municipality that is poor, no? But there's no transference of personnel and buildings in Kerala. And I saw that building attending, first doing many tasks that in Venezuela are done by the municipalities. They are done below, no? And the building and attending people's health, etc. That doesn't exist in Venezuela in the level of the communes, no?